Crows Comics and I'm here with Ron Wasserman from Power Rangers and a ton of other stuff. You worked on the music for countless shows and countless commercials. Care to give us, little history of what you worked on?
Back when, of course, Power Rangers, and then after that, when I left Spawn, while I was at Spawn doing Sweet Valley High, VR Troopers, and anything else they needed done. And then after I left there, I went to a company called Seventh Level and worked with the producer Bob Ezrin, who had done The Wall with Pink Floyd, and I did a couple games, PC games. It wasn't like today; they've gotten a lot better. So I did Ace Ventura: Pet Detective, and 2 Monty Python titles. I did Meaning of Life, and another one I can't remember. It wasn't complete waste of time. Complete waste of time. Some other smaller games. Then they went out of business. But at the same time, I was also doing some albums with John Anderson from Yes, so 2 indie records with him. And then I started writing more themes for Deke Entertainment, which I think was Sherlock Holmes in the 22nd Century, and a couple others, and some score. And then my band with my wife, Fisher, we were doing stuff. We did Lilith Fair, came big online, and we signed a deal with Universal. Now, because of Sweet Valley High, one day she got called from a jingle house to sing on a commercial. Beginner's Luck, she got her first national commercial. From that point on, she had 5 to 10 running all the time. Right before we were signed, we wrote the theme for Hyundai that they used for 3.5 years. So we had that. We were signed, doing very well with Universal. The thing was charting. We were at all these top 40 stations. We had a great time, but there was distribution problems. They wanted us to do a second CD, and we said, and so we left. After that, more indie records with Fisher, a ton of television, and a lot of commercials. So Toyota, GM, pretty much anything, especially companies run outside the country. For some reason, I have a problem with some U.S. corporations. They don't quite get me. I don't know why. I have no idea. It's just one of those weird things that's happened. So continued with the band, and then about 1.5 years ago, because of the state of the music business, even though we just do it and it sells, it's lovely, but there's no more touring. I'm not interested in that anymore. So I really put my focus back in the television, and for a bit I had almost everything on CBS Saturday Morning, which was great, all through Deke. Then Deke sold the company. They went under. They sold to Cookie Jar. I wrote the theme for Cookie Jar, and then things were a little bit slow, and I said, I've got to get some more television. So I started actually networking, which I'd never done, and so now I do, and not the complete score on the first 4, so World's Strictest Parents, Super Nanny, a new show called Freaky Eaters, another one I can't remember, and then Hot in Cleveland's been my biggest show, most recent show. And that's through TV Land, and is actually the highest rated cable sitcom in history so far.
Really?
Yeah, it beats the networks a lot. So
Wow, that's something.
Yeah, that's great. And then that goes back for season 2 in November of this year, of 10.
Nice.
Yeah.
Now back to what got this whole thing started, the Power Rangers.
Yeah.
How did you get started working on Power Rangers?
I was in bands in the 80s, and I was in a band called Betty Boop and the Beat. We were horrible. But we almost had a deal with Sony, but the guitar player in that was a guy named Ron Canon. He went to go work for Saban at probably around 1987, 88, I think. And 89, I had just come out of a really fun time with this gal, E.G. Daly, on A&M Records. And my friend Ron said, hey, why don't you come in and just engineer for our composers one weekend? And I went, oh, that'll be fun. So I came in and then started coming back every weekend and started writing a lot of cues once I saw, wow, I never thought of television scoring. Never even entered my mind. So I started doing a lot of score, and finally they kept giving me back notes. Nothing got used, saying, do this, tweak this, tweak this. And I think I got some little direct-to-home videos. And then Power Rangers came in, and it was literally like going from 0 to 60 in a half second. It just exploded, and all of a sudden, I was doing everything for them, and it was great.
Start doing the entire soundtrack, all the sound cues. And,
Everything.
Yep.
So what I would do on an average week, I would score 9 minutes of the show a night, because they were cranking these things.
Because the footage was coming, a lot of it was just coming from Japan.
Yeah, so even if I didn't have a complete show, they would do this, they'd say, score the action stuff. So it was an average of 9-minute score, and then a song for Power Rangers every week. And a song for Sweet Valley High every week or two. And then anything added to VR Trooper, or all the promotion. Because when you have a show that's as big as Power Rangers was, Fox would like this, they'd like this.
Yeah.
Plus they had the live show and all these other things. So it was a tremendous amount of work, but it was fun.
Then you worked at that up until about Turbo?
September 95 is when I said, I've got to go. It was just too many hours.
Turbo and in Space were your final stuff, right?
I think Space was the final one I sang, which Jeremy Sweet wrote. Yeah. Yeah, I remember going in for that Turbo. I don't remember doing it.
Yeah, you didn't have a lot of songs on the Turbo soundtrack. Instead, they came a lot from the Zeo, since Zeo soundtrack was produced.
Right. So they must have just called me in for the one. But and it's really not a bad memory. It's just when you're doing so much stuff, and it has been a long time, it becomes a blur.
Yeah, it wears you out working on that for so much.
Yeah.
What was your fondest memory working back on Power Rangers and scoring that music?
When the show first hit, they were doing a live appearance at Universal Studios Hollywood, which is actually in the Valley. And I remember, and it was great. I lived 2 blocks from there. And I figured, this is wonderful. We're going to go to this thing. So luckily I got a pass. You think I'm exaggerating. I got a regular seat like halfway back in. But anyways, I came out and I heard helicopters. And I looked, and the event was so big that the freeways were blocked for 5 miles with solid traffic. And I went, wow. So finally we walked over. And we walked up the hill and went up there. And that really is probably... That was just an amazing day, because that's the first time I heard however many it seats, 10 or 15,000 people. They were just singing that theme at the top of their lungs.
Must have been quite an experience for you to hear your song, be echoed.
Yeah, it was fun.
Now, along with Power Rangers, you also did other theme songs for TV shows. When Power Rangers got started, it wasn't really heard of that much, but there was another show that you did the theme song for, X-Men.
X-Men.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was that like, doing the theme song for that one?
That was a little bit more work. That one, more cooks in the kitchen, because more had been going on. Or I can't remember if I did that before Power Rangers or...
It was going on before Power Rangers.
Yeah, it was. So I think that I was still... That might have been actually then the first bigger theme I had. So Ron Kanan, my friend, who was heading music, he came in and he had this bass groove, and and he came in with that, and he said, maybe we can do something with this. And I can't remember, because he was there during the day, he was VP of music, I was in at night. I can't remember if we actually worked together, or he said, see if something like this works. And I came up with that melody, and then he was adding a lot of the other parts. And that one took about a week to do.
Were you excited to work on something as big as X-Men? Because...
Yeah. And the show was huge, and it was really good. It was really good, but I don't think I did much of the score. I may have done some.
Yeah, you only mainly did the theme stuff.
Yeah.
And you did little sound cues here and there.
Yeah, but on Power Rangers I did every single note through the whole thing. That was the big show. That was fun. It was a fun time. The technology was terrible back then.
Yeah.
It was a slow process, but I remember I would arrive around 6 p.m. and I had giant samplers with all my sounds, and they were on big optical drives, and we'd put them in, and they'd start reading, and then usually go have dinner, because they took about 45 minutes to load the sounds. So if it crashed, you were looking at 45 minutes to reboot. Fun.
That must have been. Now, you actually used, a lot of it's hard rock for Power Rangers. Was there anything you were really inspired by for that?
I think up to that point, speed metal really didn't exist yet.
Yeah, that's
If it
true.
did, it was very underground, and there wasn't the internet yet,
Mhm.
so there was no access to finding this stuff. So I think it just came out of this place. Let's do some extreme high energy stuff. Plus, I thought, what could be better for the people watching the show? It's going to just get their adrenaline flowing and be
Right,
really
yeah.
exciting. And I think they had that. Fox loved it, but I remember hearing that they do focus groups on all these shows. So
Mhm.
they bring in kids, and they serve them pizza, and they pay them $20. And they said the kids started in 2 of these focus groups. They started running around and throwing pizza at each other, and that's when Haim Saban went, "This is a hit."
Nice.
So luckily, the beauty of Haim Saban is that he went, "This looks great.
Mhm.
It's not broken. Let's go with it." Instead of, "This is wonderful. How can we refine it?" And which happens a lot.
Now, I mean, you talked about it being like speed metal. Was there like what metal bands or like what rock bands like?
Well, afterwards, Metallica, I remember going, that's because they had the absolute best recordings and just that quick, 16 to 30-second note guitar stuff going right tight with
Yeah.
the drums. It was just the best, punchiest sound. So I have to hand it to them. I just love that stuff. Because you have other bands and their grooves are great.
Yeah.
And through the years, especially with the internet and satellite radio, I can hear some of that influence. But at the same time, when the vocal comes up, it's like, "Ah, they do that, they do that." I'm like, dude, it's like the death voice, the
Yeah.
extreme punk, and it's cool,
But it's
but
overused.
it doesn't go
Yeah.
anywhere. And that's why they're not mainstream,
Mhm.
any of those bands.
Exactly.
So.
Now, are there any bands that have come to you and said we were inspired by your rock on
Yeah.
Power Rangers?
I've had about 4 or 5 bands, which I cannot remember their names, because you got to remember, between that and Fisher,
Yeah.
when things are going, it was about 150 emails a day. I've never not answered an email. If any of you send me an email, I will answer it, unless it goes through the junk filter, sorry. But I answer every single one.
Mhm.
But I remember about 5 to 7 times where bands said, "You were the major influence, we just got a deal." Now, I don't know what happened because record labels, there's used to be a 2% success rate, now it's a
Mhm.
0.5% at best. So I don't know what happened to them, but yeah, and that's when I really felt I've done the right thing.
Yeah. Before, back in the 90s, music and TV shows wasn't widely regarded as
It was crap.
Yeah. And then Power Rangers came along, a lot of other stuff started coming along, and now we have this huge renaissance in TV music. Michael Godchenko, who does all the Pixar stuff,
Right.
doing Lost score. We get amazing stuff. The Heroes soundtrack they brought in. I forget who, but yeah, we're seeing a lot more stuff becoming bigger and people putting more into TV show music.
Well, they're also able to get it now because of the terrible record sales.
Mm.
So now they're able to go to these bigger people and say, "Hey, you interested?" And yeah, and some people just are really starting to see the power. Movies are their own art form.
Yeah.
Nobody who scores TV does movies. It doesn't work either way. Some of the film guys come over.
Yeah.
But TV is really it. For me, it's just the best thing.
Do you think you played a hand in, bringing the TV show music up to, par of,
I don't know because nobody else has really done, unless I missed it, of course, but nobody else has really done hard rock scores.
It's true.
And sounds just got better, and things did go stereo, so things were able to get punchier. Mixes got much better.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But that being said, here I am 18 years later at a panel for something I did, primarily in 2.5 hours in the end of 1992. It's remarkable. So maybe.
That, you mentioned things got punchier. When writing the stuff, it sounds like you got a huge, tons of guitars and stuff, but you were really only using a keyboard.
Yeah, that's it. They were samples that I made. It was run through something called a Proteus 1. I tweaked the sound. I cannot remember the guitar. It was a single rack mount Korg guitar processor. And I found the sound I liked, and it was very easy to go very fast. That.
Mhm.
Obviously, another track for the. And yeah, so it sounded big and fat for the time. Now it's laughable.
Yeah.
It sounds kind of skinny and not very punchy, but it's interesting still.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all done on keyboard. I don't play a note of guitar. I have tried, I can't. We have a visitor. Hi, visitor.
Visitor. Suddenly, a wild staff member approaches. So, pretty much. Oh, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. We're talking about how it's
Yeah.
all done on keyboard.
That's right. That's right. Now, if you could go back and do more stuff, would you add more instruments now that a lot of this quality for TV show music has gotten better over the years?
Yeah, I don't know, because you always have to keep in mind that you're competing with sound effects, especially on Power Rangers. So the bigger the music gets, the lower it has to be. And I don't know. I don't think so. But, running the same amount of instruments these days would sound much thicker and punchier just by nature, because mixes are much better. Everyone was listening primarily through 2 and 3 inch
Yeah.
TV. That's what we had to monitor.
And now we have 5.1, 7.1 mix.
And TVs just sound
Yeah.
a lot better. They've come a long way with that. So I don't know. I'm pretty happy with the way things sound now. Stuff I do now translates pretty well.
Now, pretty much, Power Rangers, huge success and stuff. What has been your favorite stuff to work on for TV besides Power Rangers, would you say?
The animation's always been fun. The band thing was fun.
Mhm.
This Hot in Cleveland show has been a remarkably huge step forward, because generally, even with Power Rangers, I had some to score, but I would deliver the stuff and off it goes.
Mm-hmm.
With the other show, Hot in Cleveland, you're scoring it, you're scrutinizing sometimes a 2-second part. You're involved in the mixes. We go every week, my partner and I, the other composer, to watch the shows being taped. So it's a whole different
You have more
level.
control over it.
Yeah, well, the producers are very experienced. And the one young guy on it is pretty brilliant. So it's a different world. And that's been a lot of fun, because for the first time, I'm not being hidden, because generally on shows,
Yeah.
there's somebody taking a percentage. You don't want anybody to see the composer. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Now, let's switch gears for a second. Fisher, your band, you started with your wife.
Yeah.
Huge renaissance in the digital music media.
Yeah.
That now that digital music has blown up so much, do you think you'd be able to pull off what you did today?
Not a
back then?
chance. No. And, no. I think everybody was, when the first sites, and the biggest was mp3.com,
Yes.
when this was exploding, there all seemed to be a certain style of music, and there was really nothing kind of that. My wife sounds mostly like Sarah McLachlan, if there has to be a comparison. So there was just something about this piano vocal ballad. That's really the one that broke everything up. Without that song, I don't think anything, or perhaps nothing would have ever happened. Although we had other stuff that did fine. The drag is, I don't know how anybody gets into a band and gets signed anymore. And if they do, I don't know how they succeed. And if they succeed, I don't know how they get paid, because everything's changed with that. So I don't know. I don't know what we would do now. But remember, even though that luckily happened for us, Time Magazine came to us and did a feature. CNN came to us, CNBC, and still we had no deal. Because they went, well, we have a girl.
Yeah.
There was literally a quota, like 2 girls on a label. They were going, well, we have 2 girls. Male-driven music was selling better, I get it, but that was ridiculous.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
No.
Do you think things have changed up recently as of, labels are laying more females onto...
They're desperate to make a buck, but
Yeah.
I think the labels are going to be gone. They're going to rename themselves and be 10 people, 10-person operations. So they have to. There's nothing coming in. And radio cost a fortune, and touring cost a fortune.
And everything seems to be moving more towards, digital media more and more for, bands just putting out their stuff.
Yep.
And Oh, who's that band recently that just put out their whole album for free and said, hey, if you want to...
Radiohead.
Radiohead, yes,
Radiohead
that's right.
done it.
And they were successful. They actually, got a ton of money.
Yeah, no, because they know they're going to bring more people in for touring.
Exactly.
And they knew they make more. And I don't think they're on a big label anymore.
Nope, they aren't.
But there's the one, or there's probably, let's say, 5 bands that can do that because they're so huge. I won't be surprised if U2 does it before long. It says goodbye label, give the music away, and go tour for 50,000 people. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Do you support that,
Yeah.
trend the way it's going? This
Yeah.
way you get away from all the people, that have been taking chunks out of money.
Yeah, that's the thing. Had the deals always been great and the artists made a lot,
Yeah.
and everything been above board, then it'd be a real shame. But the labels have been taken for years and years and not reporting properly, so
Yeah.
I don't care if they don't get it. But if the artist can sell enough and go out, even do a small tour and make a living, that's great. That's how things are going to be, and that's what they've become, really niche markets.
Yes.
I'm going to have 5 bands that I think are the hottest thing in the world,
No one else is going to...
and you're not even going to know who they are. But they're going to make a living doing it from that demographic for them. So we'll see.
So what would you say is next for Fisher?
We were asked to do, which my wife's voice prefers, standards. So, songs from the 40s, which I know has been done to death. But since the real advantage here is that we own everything.
Yeah.
Obviously, we didn't write those songs. But when it's done, we can approve stuff fairly quick instead of them having to deal with the label. And that, for me, for years, has been a big advantage, being able to approve stuff. So I think that's next, or whatever hits me. I haven't been in a songwriting mood lately. I'm in a complete score mood. I don't know why.
Now, since Power Rangers, you haven't really gone towards the whole rock stuff.
I have tried, but nobody wanted it.
Do you think you'll ever come back to it, especially now with your songs on Rock Band, Fight Back?
Sure. And Rock Band is expanding.
With the
And
Rock
that
Band
whole
Network
platform.
that's supporting, independent artists.
Yeah, and they've been great to work with, so absolutely more will come out, but I don't want to sit and force it. If the moment will come. It could be I'm driving home tonight. It'll come when it comes. And I guess it's because there is no deadline, and I work great under a deadline.
So you're one of those people that, work as a crunch.
Yeah, the better the crunch.
And the more it comes refined,
Right.
it comes out. Yeah.
Because you're forced to be creative. So I don't know. Maybe that.
Now, a couple of quick questions to end this. What would you say your favorite song to work on for Power Rangers was?
We Need a Hero for sure.
Yes.
That's because I think when I was writing it, I'm pretty sure I originally did the whole thing just on piano, because why the piano's at the beginning.
Yes.
And it was kind of sad, and then of course you got to make it rock for the show, but it's just the saddest song in the world, so I love it.
And then it has the piano interlude in
Yeah.
there. Yes, that's actually my favorite of your work.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Now, let's say that Saban wanted you back. Would you, accept to go back on Power Rangers?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but it's to be honest with you, it's not going to happen because they've already found somebody else. But
if this takes
I
off
tried.
future seasons, though,
You never know.
you never know.
I don't know. I have no idea what was going through their head with that decision.
I just hope for the best, and because I know I would love it, and all the fans would love it to see a return to your work.
But also, if that show
Yeah.
kind of picks up again, which I don't know. I don't know for a couple reasons. A, it's been on for 18 years. It's about to go through a change, so it's going to be total
Yeah.
hit or miss because the fans are hardcore.
That is true.
But it's Nickelodeon. I don't know if that yet, and I don't know enough about it, and then no disrespect to Nickelodeon, that's not who they really go for. It seems more of a Cartoon Network or Boomerang thing to me. But we'll see. But if it does well, there's going to be 10 more of them. I'm going to go to those production companies, and I will do the rock score for their show.
Now,
If Saban doesn't get back. Because I want to do one.
Kamen Rider Dragon Knight came out and stuff. Did you try to get into that at all?
No, because I've had such a steady flow of work for so long that I don't know about a lot of things that are happening until afterwards. So I've actually been talking to, and we'll see, for the first time ever, a couple of agents, composer representation, and they would know what's going on ahead of time. Because I don't generally, there's been so many times I've seen a bit. I don't watch much TV, but I'll see someone, I would have been perfect for that, but I didn't know.
Yeah.
And they, nobody ever goes, it's all friends and connections.
I heard a person who needed some help on
Yeah, that's how it always goes. I mean, the meetings I have coming up next week for new shows are because the network went, oh, well, he's working on this show, so go, which is great. That's how it works.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And stay tuned to Comics Online for more coverage from Power Morphicon the second year.